Do you love unconditionally? You may think you do, but I'm going to tell you today, right here, why, if you are completely honest with yourself, you do not love unconditionally. Hey, this is your friend in the gospel, Pastor A.T. Robinson, back with another video. And today we're asking the question, do you love unconditionally? And most people would say that they do, but it's really based off of conditions, right? Had this conversation with my wife about a week or two ago, and I've been thinking about it over and over again, just to kind of make sure that my thought process was sound. But you ever see on social media and different things where there's this couple, right? You know that couple. They're kissing, they're hugging, they're always together, they're taking trips, vacation. I love you, boo. You know, just for anything, I'm just going to send you something. Look what my boo sent me and all that kind of stuff. They have seemingly the best relationship. They get married, they have wonderful children, and all of these things seem to come together. And if you're a single person, and even sometimes if you're a married person who's dealing with realities of marriage, sometimes you're like, man, these people make me sick. I don't understand why they gotta, all that don't have to be on Facebook. You kind of say these things to your head because they are the quintessential perfect couple, if you would. Then later on, over time, as you tap into your CIA and FBI social media skills, you start to notice that they're no longer couple pictures. Now they're just pictures of him or pictures of her. If they have children, it's her and the children, and sometimes him with the children. And because you're a little bit nosy and just a little curious, you go to check their status. Whereas it said, I am married to blah, 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 or I am married. Now it just says nothing at all. Or it may even say complicated, or worse yet, single. So you ask yourself the question, what's going on? And if it's blank, you really don't know. And so you don't have they may not have put all their business out there on Facebook because now they went from being completely open, but now they close things down and your investigation is still ongoing. But then you see that there's a new boo, a new person that she's or he is loving up on and has new pictures and saying that I love you about and posting things on there. And now she or he is remarried. It's at that point you realize that things change, and you have to ask yourself, what changed? Ultimately, the situation changed. No one gets married expecting to divorce. No one gets in a relationship expecting it to end. They essentially love that person, and when they marry that person, they're thinking that that's the only person that they will ever love. It's the only person that I'm ever going to kiss and spend time with and be intimate with for the rest of my life. They're not thinking that it's only going to be a 5-year or 4-year stint. They're not thinking about the fact that the children are going to have to go through a separation where there's two families, because in their mind, this is it. This is what I have this spend this money on as far as this wedding and all these different things and the bridal shower. I'm doing this because this is the last time that I'm going to do it. But something changed. Usually what happens is that there is a change inside of the relationship or outside of the relationship that affects the relationship in totality to where it is not able to adapt or withstand the change. And so we're going to talk about that because in our mind, that love that they once had for each other was unconditional. I love you unconditionally. Unconditional love is to love something without respond, without condition. It doesn't require anything. And too many times our relationships, we find that there are conditions. And we're going to talk about that on today. There are conditions. Most times in a relationship, in a marriage, that causes them to fall or fail is that there's a lack of commitment to the relationship. You're not invested in this relationship. There's some infidelity. You're now seeking the intimacy of someone else outside of me. You got a work boo. You got a husband, a work husband. You got a work wife and all those things. And you have somebody who you're confiding in that isn't me, because for some reason you don't feel the same way about me like you used to. You have arguments, you have conflicts and things. And we didn't used to have this when we were dating. We didn't used to have this when in the beginning of our relationship, but something has happened and we're not meshing together. We're not gelling together. We're not adapting. And you're not invested, you're not intimate, and we're fighting. And most time they call this the final straw. The final straw type things are things like infidelities. A husband cheats, a wife cheats. You can't deal with it. You can't recover from that. Some relationships can. Some can't. Domestic violence. He hits on her. She hits on him. He can't take it. She can't take it. Substance abuse. They're doing drugs, and I don't know that person anymore because when I met them, they were not doing drugs. These are things that happen that cause relationships to fall apart, which means that the love that they have in that relationship is conditional. You can't call that unconditional love because there are conditions that are met when things do fall apart. They once loved you, but now they're sleeping with somebody else. They're being with somebody else. They're committed with somebody else. They're invested in somebody else other than you. And so the conversation that I had with my wife dealt with the fact that when you're in a relationship, you love that person where they are at that moment. And as we're going to talk about later on, we're going to tell you how to properly love somebody in any relationship because you're really loving them at that particular time and moment, and you appreciate them for that time and moment because we know that everybody has free will and everybody has the ability to change how they feel about the other person or what they want to do. They want it to be married with you. Now they don't want to be married with you. Their conditions are met, and you have to be honorable about that thing. Now, my statement is in earthly relationships, the love always is conditional. It's always conditional based in earthly relationships. Okay. So we talked about the husband and wife scenario, but there's also scenarios that we're dealing with similar to that, infidelities, commitment, those type things. But like for example, for a boyfriend and girlfriend, maybe one wants to have kids, maybe the other one doesn't. Maybe one cheats, the other one doesn't. And so those are conditions that may or may not be met to where maybe I want to pursue this relationship or whether I don't. So those things are met. For example, you have a best friend. You've been your best friend all your life. And study shows that every, 7 to 10 years that our friends change. So the friends that you have now may not be the friends that you have 10 years from now. And the friends that you have now, if you're honest with yourself, are not as close as they were 7 to 10 years ago. So a friend may lie on you. They may cheat on you. They may steal from you. May sleep with your spouse. Are you still friends with that person? Are you still unconditionally loving that person? No, you probably pushed that person to the curb, which means the conditions have been met and you are no longer friends. You're no longer best friends. Now here, let's take it one step further. You have a parent-child relationship. The child may be abusive. The child may be violent. The child may beat on you, threaten to kill you, threaten you in general, threaten the other children. The child may pull a weapon on you. Are you still going to unconditionally love that person? Is it me or you? And there's earthly examples of this because if you look up how Marvin Gaye died, you look at how that was a father that killed his son. Marvin Gaye died because his father killed him. What happened to unconditional love there? Mothers drown their children or kill their children. Something's not right. That means that there's some conditions that are met where they are traumatic or something that's wrong. They had a grandfather, even in our area, a grandfather shot his grandson because there were conditions met and he decided to make a decision, and therefore I know he at one point loved that son and may have said, "I love you unconditionally," but somehow or another, the conditions changed, and what happened. Children change. Children may be abused by their parents. They may feel the parents are too strict, and the parents won't let them live, and the parents are abusive and stuff like that. You look at the Menendez brothers, man, and the children on crazier notes have killed their parents for less, and at one point they loved their parents. But there's animosity, and they have conditions to their love. Even in your work, you say you love your job. You love your job. It's matter of fact, it's not even a job anymore because you love it so much. But somebody offers you triple the amount of money that you currently make now with a third of the responsibility. Do you still love your job enough to not move on to that new job? You know, or say you get fired from that job. Are you still going to work for that job for free because you love that job? You know, your job, even for your employees, they don't love you like that. Your employees will give you a raise and they will max out your performance and your pay. And they'll say, man, you made us a lot of money. You made us millions of dollars. But then they find out that you're skimming off the top. You think that they love you enough to where they want to keep you? Matter of fact, not only are you getting fired, you're probably going to jail. Conditions have been met. Here's the point of this video. Your love in the earth is always going to be conditional. That is why we have to learn to love people from the overflow of our love for God. God is eternal. God is the only constant in the universe. God's love is unconditional. But despite what we do, the Bible says that God still loves us and that he gave his son for us. Matter of fact, in all the universe, the only thing constant is God, and even the universe itself dies. And so before all this, there was God. And so therefore, everybody in the earth that I love, I can't love them off of my conditions of my heart, knowing that their stuff may change. I have to begin to love them from the overflow of God. If I love them the right way, I'll be able to adapt and be able to see what's going on. If I love them the right way, I'll be able to commit to the relationship. If I love them the right way, I'll be invested and I won't have infidelity issues and I won't be arguing so much. I'll be able to understand and find the middle ground because I love them from where I love God. God is unconditional. His love is unconditional. If I love you based off of my flesh and my natural life, everybody in this world has conditions about how they love, because really the strongest driving man is self-preservation, and we would try to take care of ourselves more than we would try others, even to the point of our own children. We won't, if the children have done no wrong, that's different. You know, parents lay down their life for their children all the time. But if your child is trying to kill you and all that kind of stuff, I'm sorry, children, it's gonna have to be you. Okay, but from me loving from the love of God, you know, things may be different. So if you're going to love somebody, you have to learn to love them from the overflow of God. And the answer to the question is yes, your love is very much conditional. Based off of all the scenarios that I have and thousands and millions of the ones that I didn't name, your love is very conditional. So you cannot say you yourself can love unconditional, because there's plenty of relationships that have fallen away. There's a lot of heavy divorce rates, and plenty of parents who have killed their children or grandchildren, and children who have killed their parents, and aunties and uncles, and jobs and different things, and relationship change. And like I said, people are so fickle and they change. And God says he is God, and behold, he changes not. He is a constant in this world. So for us, learn to love people from the love of God. And as I told my wife, I love you from the overflow of my love for God. And I appreciate you for loving me right now, because I know things could change. I don't take you for granted. I won't take you for granted, because everybody has free will. You love me now, you may not love me later. And here's the thing, that another point as I close this out. You say, I love you forever. Well, that's not true, because you didn't even know that person before they were born. You didn't even know that person before you met them. So how can you say you have loved them forever? Forever is the past, present, and the future. And there's only one person, one entity in this whole universe and beyond who can actually say that. Is that before you were ever born, before you were ever created, he knew you and he loved you. And he gave himself for you. So, I appreciate you where you are. I love you from the overflow of God. And I hope you learn to love others and begin to share the word of God and share the love of God, because your love is fickle and your love is conditional. Listen, if I said anything that bless your heart or bless your soul, please drop me a like, say a comment if you agree or don't agree. Go ahead, let's talk about it. Share this if you think it may inspire you. Other people need to hear this. But listen, just be a blessing and share the gospel as we begin to change the world. Listen, as always, I am your friend in the gospel, Pastor A.T. Robinson, and I hope you learn to love God and love others from the love of God. Have a wonderful day with your conditional love. Now I'm messing with you. Now take care. Bye bye. I'm so silly.